there is a place where no one dares to venture without fear. A dense, wild forest lit only by the moon. Here, there are no marble palaces, no golden kingdoms, only the breath of the trees, the silence of predators waiting in the dark. In this sacred, untamed sanctuary, a figure moves with grace and determination. She is Artemis, huntress, guardian, rebel. Born to be free, raised with no master, she bows to no one.
Welcome to Medusa, the Sisterhood of Myth, the podcast that unveils the hidden stories of women in Greek mythology. I'm Gabriel.
And I'm Georgia. Each week, we take you on a journey through Greek myths, reimagined through a modern lens. Together, we explore complex female figures who confronted patriarchy in all its contradictions. These are not just stories of the past, but symbols of strength and resilience that still speak to us today.
Artemis was no ordinary child. Her mother, Leto, gave birth to her alone, fleeing from Hera on the wild shores of a distant island. And as soon as she was born, she did something extraordinary. She helped her mother bring her twin brother Apollo into the world. Her true independence began with a request to Zeus.
And she did not ask for power over men. She did not ask for a kingdom, nor a throne. She asked for a bow and arrows. But not just any bow. A silver bow, forged by the Cyclopes, with a strike as precise as her will. She asked for a pack of hunting dogs, the fastest and most loyal, so that no prey could ever escape her. And she asked never to marry, never to belong to anyone.
She wanted a world of her own, where no man could set foot. And so Artemis became the goddess of the hunt and the moon, the protector of women, of nymphs, of all those seeking refuge in her domain.
Throughout Greece, Artemis took different forms. In Sparta, she was Artemis Orthia, the goddess of rites of passage. In Ephesus, she was linked to fertility. But everywhere, her image remained unchanged, untamed, untouched, bound by no rules but her own.
Yet, Artemis was never alone. Beside her were the nymphs, wild spirits who chose to follow her, leaving behind the golden halls of the gods. To become her companions, they had to renounce love, bonds, and all ties to the world of men. Only those who chose absolute freedom could walk by her side.
It was a world without masters, without rules, without compromise. Only Artemis, her companions, the sharp flight of an arrow, and the eternal presence of the moon. For many of them, it was liberation, but it was also a radical detachment from a society that would never understand them.
But what happens when this freedom is violated? One day, during a hunt, Actaeon stumbled upon something he was never meant to see. A hidden clearing, a crystal clay pool, and there, Artemis, the untouchable goddess, caught in her most private moment.
Her reaction was immediate and merciless. Actaeon felt his body change, his screams twisting into the cries of a stag. And his own hunting dogs, no longer recognizing their master, turned against him.
Actaeon's punishment was not vengeance. It was a declaration, a message as sharp as a silver arrow. Some boundaries are sacred, some spaces must never be crossed. Many say Actaeon was simply unlucky, caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. But even an unintentional act can become a violation when it disregards another's will. His transformation into a stag represents a total reversal, from hunter to hunted, from the world of men to the wild unknown. A reminder that there are lines, both physical and symbolic, that must not be crossed.
Psychologist Jean Shinoda Bolin describes Artemis as the archetype of the independent woman, one who moves through the world without needing a relationship to define her. She is the spirit of every woman who challenges expectations and chooses her own path. But what does it really mean to be independent? Artemis protects women and newborns, yet she also chooses solitude. She is not just a figure of strength, she is also one of detachment, a model of freedom that refuses all compromise.
And yet her example still resonates today. Think of how many people fight to defend their personal, sacred spaces in a world where privacy is fragile, where a glance, a comment, or an unwanted message can feel like an intrusion.
In the same way, Artemis's refusal to marry was an act of resistance, one that mirrors those who, today, reject societal expectations in order to carve their own path. Artemis is the goddess who cannot be possessed, who refuses to bend. But the real lesson in her myth is not just about defense. It is about understanding the power of choice.
Being independent does not mean being alone. It means choosing who to keep close without giving up your own freedom. Perhaps the greatest lesson of Artemis is not just about protecting ourselves, but about creating spaces where we can be free without fear. She does not isolate herself to reject the world. She builds a world of her own, a world where strength is not a weapon, but a conscious choice.
In our next episode, we will explore the final myth of this season, Echo, the lost voice, the story of a woman who spoke, yet was never heard. What happens when a voice is reduced to an echo?
Thank you for listening to Medusa, the Sisterhood of Myth. And remember, you are never truly alone in your freedom as long as you choose to share it. See you next time.